Welcome to Motherhood in ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sun. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, successful mama. It's your friend Patricia. The first thing I want to do today is read you my very first iTunes review. I'm so excited because it's been, maybe 2 weeks since I've gotten the podcast posted on iTunes. So I have my first review and they were super sweet and gave me all the stars just like I asked. So let's read here what Bacon34 said. Truth. I actually don't have ADHD, but my best friend does. So I started listening to this to get tips to give her and actually found that a lot of Patricia's topics applied to me too. It's a great, easy listen. Can't wait to see where else it goes. So Bacon34, 1, high five on the username. 2, what an awesome friend you are for supporting your bestie like that. I hope that every mama on here has somebody in their corner who's willing to do something like that for them. And 3, I love that you notice one of the things that I really am passionate about, which is there is so much advice out there. I mean, you can't even get through the grocery store sometimes without somebody giving you advice, if you know what I mean. And all that information out there can be really overwhelming. And while it's all good for a certain person, we as moms with ADHD have to filter through so much stuff that's not going to work for the way our brains are set up. So that's what I wanted to do for you all, is to filter through the millions of people who are giving advice and just deliver to you what's the most valuable for our brains and the way that we function best. So thank you, Bacon34. Virtual high five from me. I hope that you too will go into the app and give me a review so that I can give you a very public thank you as well. So let me tell you how I impulsively got myself into swim lessons. So back, 80s, 90s, my mom made sure all 5 of us kids knew how to swim. And when she knew that all of us would not drown, she stopped swim lessons. And my mom could not swim. So I'm really glad that she made sure that we all could function in the water. However, that's all the swim instruction I got, is just making sure I wasn't going to drown. And so over the years, it's been in the back of my mind of really wanting to be better about that. And I can think back to several times where, not so much in a pool, because obviously there's always a ledge nearby, more in like the ocean, I would say, not so much even like a lake, but in the ocean, there's been times where I realized like I'm not a strong enough swimmer to be able to get where I need to go. And I've definitely had some panicky moments where I've been pulled out in an undercurrent and know that I am getting farther from the shore, even though I am paddling furiously. One of the things I thought I would do is sign up for one of those like spa triathlons where they're like super short. And I bought myself a pair of goggles and a swim cap thinking I could like practice my way into knowing how to swim, which doesn't make any sense. But I tried doing laps once and was like, oh, nope, this is not going to be my sporting event. Glad I figured that out before I bought a bicycle. Then, kids come along and my 4-year-old is really getting to the point where he is doing well in swim lessons and can get around, decently near the sides. And I just realized I can keep up with him just fine now. But what happens when he's like 8 or 9 and is a much stronger swimmer than I think to those times where it worries me if something's wrong in terms of like being on a lake or a boat or the ocean, like I want to know that I am able to take care of my kids. And so at the last session of swim, I was chatting with his swim coach and I was telling her about how I really would like to know how to swim better. And she's like, well, just sign up with me. I can teach you after my kids in the morning. And so I was like, sure, let's do that. And then I left and I was like, oh, what did I just get myself into? But you know what? I was like, I already jumped in, quote unquote, to this, going down this path. And so I'm going to give it a try. And I went to my first swim lesson on Monday, and I'm standing there on the side of the pool. And the class before me is literally a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old learning how to swim. I was just like, what did I get myself into? I was so nervous in the days leading up. I bought myself goggles and I was like, I don't even know. Do I need goggles? Do I need a cap? I was feeling very unprepared and nervous and anxious and like a little embarrassed that I was taking swim lessons. And then I was like, why did I decide to do this in the summer when the pool is full of people? Why didn't I do this in the winter when nobody was at the pool? I don't know. It was a lot of self-talk that was not helpful. And thankfully, I just, put on my big girl swimsuit and I went out there, and my coach was super awesome and wonderful and understanding. And she walked me through like basic things that just don't come natural to humans because we're not meant to live in the water. And I was so excited that it was going better than I thought. I am not a kinesthetically gifted person at all. Like, I don't have very good body awareness, not my strong point. And so I was just really encouraged that even though I tried something that was not natural, not from just like my perspective of I am not a swimmy person, but like humans as a whole are not meant really to swim, it actually came a lot easier than I thought it was going to. And I'm not saying that like, leaps and bounds were made in that, 30 minutes, but I feel emotionally like I did go leaps and bounds. I feel so much better about being in the water. And I know that like by the end of the summer, like I would feel confident that I can hit the goals that I had set out, which is mostly just being able to like swim far distance. And like, I can't do that like twisty turny breathing side thing. I didn't even know like which one. She's like, let's do freestyle. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So I feel like I learned some terminology. That was good. And I just felt really confident getting out of the water. And that prompted me to bump this episode up because I'd planned it for a little farther out. But then I was like, no, the inspiration is hit. We're talking about this today. It is time for us to do something new, mamas. I think it's really easy for us to just put all of our energy into teaching our kids new things and exposing them to new things, and then we don't do it ourselves. And I also realized this because also yesterday was my 4-year-old's first day of summer camp. He's never gone to a camp before, and here I am dropping him off, and it's at the Houston Arboretum, which is an awesome place. We've been there before, but he's never been to camp before. And here I am dropping him off at this semi-familiar place, but with kids he's never met before, adults he doesn't know. And I'm like, here, hang out with these people for a few hours. I'll be back later. Bye. And I was pushing him to be so brave, but yet we as adults don't do that. Like if we're going to go to a party, we're like, let me call several friends and make sure I know someone who's going to be there. That's totally crazy town when I was thinking about, sometimes we expect our kids to do really scary things and we want them to be super brave, and we don't think about the fact that as adults we totally hang on to those crutches and we don't do those things ourselves. And so I reminded myself of like, I don't know, a couple weekends ago we were at a friend's wedding reception, like celebration. They got married out of town, and this is a new friend for us. And we were going to this party knowing that we probably wouldn't know anybody there. And we wanted to celebrate with this new friend, and we're building that relationship. And yet I still had that feeling of, ooh, I'm going to this party. We're not going to know anyone. Like, obviously I can always talk to my husband, but, I also am aware that I don't want to be that couple that stands on the side and talks to each other and doesn't talk to anybody else, because that's super antisocial. But as an introvert, that is a very hard thing for me, to go to a party where I don't know anyone else and interact with lots of humans I don't know. But I reminded myself, like, my job is to be brave and not perfect. And if I totally flub something up, the world will not end. I actually met a really cool lady who I really enjoyed talking to. She was super fun. Anyways, the point is, in doing something new, we are being great role models for our kids. Practicing that bravery ourselves is not only good for, building our courage. Like one of my favorite quotes is, you learn courage by couraging. And I wish I could remember who said that, and I'm going to have to look it up and I'll put it in the show notes. But when we practice that for ourselves, we get better at it. But that's a way we can show our kids, and we can talk to them about, hey, I know this situation's scary, but this has happened to me recently. Not like, no kid wants to hear back when I was your age. Like, that's not relevant. If you can tell them, like, hey, last week I went to a party and I didn't know anybody and it was a little bit scary, but here's what I did. And I, smiled at people and I started talking to them and I introduced myself. Like, you can walk through that with them so much better when you actually have done it yourself. Like, we can't just go around expecting our kids to do these superhuman tasks like, hey, go meet a whole bunch of people you never hung out with before, if we're not willing to do that ourselves. So that is one of the great positives of doing something new. But it's just good for your brain. Like, trying something new, like exercising your brain in a way that you haven't done before. Oh, and also keep in mind the ADHD brain does so well with new and shiny things. We love new and shiny things. That you really get a good blast of dopamine when you're trying something new. So, I'm not saying you have to commit like I did to an entire summer of swim lessons. Like, you can just try something for one time. Like, I know going in that I'm learning to swim for myself. I'm not trying to be an Olympian. I'm not trying to, chase dreams of being the greatest adult swimmer there ever was. If I get to that point where I'm like, I'm going to compete in swimming, it's possible. I won't say never, because you never know where you're going to end up going. I think we get afraid sometimes that like we have to commit to this thing forever and ever. And that's part of the fear that drives us. And we a lot of times being, having ADHD, you're known for being a little more flaky and like trying something and giving up. I don't think we need to worry so much about that. Like, I think it's okay to try something new and then be like, you know what, I didn't like that and I'm not going to do it anymore. Exhibit A, axe throwing. We did that for a super fun date. For Christmas, I always ask for like a fun or unusual experience in our family gift exchange. And my brother and sister-in-law had this awesome idea. They found us axe throwing, and we went on a double date with friends. And y'all, we were so bad at axe throwing. It wasn't even funny. Like, we were not good at all. My friend Steph, who is the tiniest of all of us and never works out, was actually the best axe thrower of the group, which was hilarious. But we still had a really good time. But you don't have to try axe throwing going in thinking, I'm going to go join the axe throwing league, which they have, by the way. You can just try something once and enjoy it. Let's talk about that. Like, how do we execute this? Like I said, you can try some lessons for a set amount of time, or you can just try something one time. Something like a life skill like swim lessons, or, an instrument, maybe like, the guitar or the piano. You can usually find one of those, somebody else who like started these lessons and didn't keep up with it. Like, you can get a used instrument from a friend, usually for pretty cheap. Even just trying something like a pottery class. That's something you can do with your kids too. Now that we're in summer, you can find like a mom and me class. A lot of the parks around here do like a free workout class. Like once a week, they have a set day where they have different groups come in. So there's always options out there to try something new. So just think about what kind of piques your interest. If you have a friend who's really good at something, maybe they could teach you. Like, if you have a friend who's really good at watercolor painting, maybe you could just go hang out with them for a couple hours and they can show you watercolor painting. There's so many ideas of where you could take this, but I just want you to try something new that you haven't done. And it's a little scary because here's the thing. When we try something new, chances are we are not going to be good at it. You don't get good at something until you've done it for a while. Yes, some people have like a natural inclination towards things, but like Mozart didn't become Mozart because he just picked up an instrument and started playing. Like, he spent tens of thousands of hours perfecting his craft before he got to the level where we know him as, whoa, Mozart. So know that we're not going to be good at this thing that we try for the first time. But that's okay. Like, no going in, I'm probably going to be terrible at this. I've never done it before. And that's okay. It's just to enjoy it and try something new. So what are some of the hurdles we have to come over as moms? Obviously, our kids. If you're choosing something that your kids can do with you, then do it. Take them with you. Enjoy that time with them. There's plenty of options out there that you can find that have a kid-friendly component if that's something that you need in the stage of life that you're in right now. And also, if you're tight on money right now, there are a ton of free and cheap options. Like I talked in the last episode, I think it was last week, about, if you're trying out new exercise classes, almost every studio will let you try a class for free. Take a look at one of your community centers or your libraries, all of those community resources. There's a really cool community center close to us, and they have a Thai cooking class on the first Wednesday of the month. So you can go check out so many options for free or cheap. You just have to do a little legwork to find them. But I'll be honest, the main thing that we're usually overcoming is our fear. What if I look stupid doing this? What if I'm totally terrible at it? And you know what? You probably will be. It'll probably be terrible. The first time you throw pottery, your pot's probably going to be a little lopsided, and that's okay. If you really enjoy it, you can perfect that skill. But it also could just be fun to make a lopsided pot and put it on your shelf and be like, hey, that's the time that I was willing to try something new that I've never done before. And was it gorgeous? No, but it represents the time that I stepped out and tried something different. I really want you to know that it is okay to be scared, and it is okay to do it scared. I was so scared getting in the water, following a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I was just like, what on earth? But you know what? I can't get better if I don't try. And so I just really want to encourage you today, Mama, to try something new. It literally can be anything under the sun, whether it's something artsy, something exercisey, something that's just out of your comfort zone. Give it a try. And, just enjoy it. Enjoy how terrible it's going to be. And you never know. You might find a favorite new hobby, or you might have really good pictures to laugh at, like our axe throwing competition. Just think on it. What sounds fun? And then go scope out your local community center or library or one of those resources and see if there's anything there that you could go try. It was scary and it was uncomfortable, but I cannot tell you how good I felt when I left that swim lesson knowing that I had overcome the fear, that I had overcome the uncomfortableness. I looked at my anxiety in the face and said, I understand that we're here, but we're going to try anyway. The worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to come out of it and be like, wow, that was terrible. I'm not doing that again. And that's okay. You still get an A+ for being brave. So sweet, Mama. Whenever you choose your brave moment, please post a photo on our Facebook page or shoot me a note on Instagram. I would love to see where your bravery is in action when you try that new thing. All right, talk to you soon. Love you, sweet Mama. Hey there, Successful Mama. Has this podcast helped you, even just a little bit? If so, I would love for you to share it with a friend. Share it with another mama at school. Share it on social media. Wherever you think there might be another mama who could use a little encouragement that she is not doomed for the hot mess express.
Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.